Might as well be here.
Yes, sir.
Might as well be here.
There I am.
Darn, sir. Not bad, not bad. Melissa, Steve, how are y'all? Not bad, not bad. Howdy, howdy.
A legal question for you, Dirk.
Shoot.
I gotta find you over.
I've got access to Google.
I was gonna say, that's the Google search. That's like, if it's on the internet, maybe it must be true.
That's right. It's gotta be true. No, it's gotta be.
If it's on the internet, it's got to
It's
be.
gotta be true.
Gotta be accurate and fine.
The juvenile curfew ordinance,
Yes, sir.
the ordinance on page 4 says it shall be prima facie evidence
Oh, yes, it
of
is.
a violation.
Prima facie means it's apparent just by looking at it.
Good, Henry? Okay. Welcome, as we call it, order, a special meeting, a workshop meeting at 5 p.m. and a regular scheduled meeting at 5 p.m. We will switch gears during the meeting and change over to the regular meeting, so we won't have to go through this again. At this point in time, Federal is going to announce to y'all, the people that are on virtual, how to join the meeting, if you care to do so.
The public can join the meeting by calling 903-392-0442. Again, the number is 903-392-0442, and the meeting ID 5401-7523. Repeating, 840-5401-7523.
Thank you. I do declare quorum, and we have a full quorum. All of the legal notices were posted as pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. We have a bulletin board in the front of the city hall and one in the rear, and notice is posted at each of those. It was also posted in the newspaper, so we're thoroughly legal. Okay, so at this point, we're going to do the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Tommy's going to do the prayer, and I'm going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you again for this beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for this wonderful country that we live in, the privileges, freedoms that we enjoy, opportunities. Just help us, guide us in our service here as members of the city council. Give us wisdom, give us strength, give us insight. Please forgive us when we fail you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, we'll now officially open up a workshop pertaining to the Landmark Preservation Committee ordinance, the guidelines, the sign and facade application. We also have new members to be reappointed. We also have reappointment of members that are on the board and just seek a new term. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll go. Ultimately, we just, in the last council meeting, we were asked, we meeting staff, and then Cheryl took the lead there to go back and research any of our ordinances relating to the our historical downtown, the preservation board, what their duties are, just the whole process of how that the historical building downtown with the historical commission, the registry, the national registry, how all that correlates, what guides us. Are there anything that that ties our hands or concerns from the city standpoint? And ultimately, in your packet, you've got some email correspondence that Cheryl asked directly with the Texas Historical Commission in relation to Main Street. And that designation, and then the preservation committee side, and how we deal with our ordinances there. Ultimately, what you can see is the Main Street piece and the preservation piece are totally separate on how they work. They're totally different pieces. They do they can overlap and work together with what they do and some of the missions, but ultimately they're completely separate there. I think everything that governs us generally is gonna be ordinances related to, you know, right here within the city. I think we're in control of everything that we do downtown. If there is a business or a building that's historical on the registry, that's really up to that building's owner, and if they're gonna do any remodeling or whatnot, if they wanna keep that historic designation or the need for funding or whatever, that's up to them on how they do that and back to the state and the national registry. What we do right now under our ordinances is try to help maintain the outside of the building to, you know, some of the historic looks. So that's where the preservation board comes into play. So anything, the exterior of the building, facade, and signage is where our ordinances say, you know, give the guidelines for the preservation board, dealing with materials, dealing with colors, things like that to keep it, you know, keep the charm of the historic side in there. But again, that's completely done by you guys, by council, controlled by ordinance and how we want it to be and how we want it to look. So we have some freedoms there, complete freedom to be able to do whatever we want to with those structures. So with that being said, the preservation board is there to hear the application process from any of the building owners if they're wanting to change any facade or anything on the exterior. If they want to do a sign, they have to go through their process and an approval that direction as well. Without them, it would go just directly to community development, go through staff, and we'd be, you know, directly involved with that. I think it's a good idea to have the preservation board personally. I think they serve an important role for us moving forward. Otherwise, staff would have to take on the burden there. And quite honestly, we're not trained. We don't have the training internally to do that. I don't, Cheryl doesn't know any community development does to take on some of that stuff. And that board is a good little vetting piece for us. That's the only really control or job description that board has is to approve those type of things related to facade and signs. Is that, and Cheryl and Laura is here, who is the staff member liaison back to that board, so y'all step up and speak if I misspeak here. So that's the black and white that kind of lays out what we have and what we do and what we're doing currently. But workshop, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about that relate to whatever questions y'all have.
I did go through the ordinances, and from what I'm seeing, 88-1035 is the only one that I see that actually has something in it that I would update. Whenever I got to investigate, and the more we update these ordinances on the facades and signs, it's strictly up to council. So if you wanted to make it to where they didn't have to keep the historical mortar, and I believe that was one of the problems last time, was putting paint over the historical mortar. That could be something that we could relieve, because we're dealing with that right now. I'm trying to get a quote on City Hall because we have mortar disintegrating. So I'm gonna have to try to get a quote. I'm trying to replace the mortar on City Hall. Now, it's not on the historical registry or anything, so I'm just gonna look at just getting that mortar put in it, not going back to the historical type of mortar. So that would be the only thing I would recommend changing if I was going to change something in it. If I was going to try to help relieve some of the expenses to building owners trying to keep that authentic look to the buildings. But I agree with Jay. I think we need to keep a preservation board so they can go through that with a fine tooth comb each time if there is a project that comes up. So we've just got to make sure that it relates back to, and I believe we already have, going to the building inspections. There was such a changeover with the administration. All at the same time, those guys came in. I believe the ball just got dropped. Do not issue any kind of permits whatsoever in that historical district without going to preservation first. And it's cleared up now. Questions?
So in section 5, subsection C, the committee shall meet at least quarterly. If a building owner wants to acquire a property downtown, I mean, with that being there, I mean, it could take up to 5 months,
No,
or maybe a little longer before they can start work.
they do have a standing monthly meeting, and yeah, and I
Well, it
believe
needs to
they,
be on paper. And do any of the committee members, do they have any open meetings training?
yes, they do. Is that the 88-414 ordinance?
Let me go back up. 88-414, it's you highlighted where I'm looking.
Oh, okay, all right. So you would like to see that change to meet monthly?
I would like to see it on paper that they, even if there's no business, if there's no business to be discussed, then cancel the meeting, but at least have it on the calendar every month.
It's a good idea.
The way it says right now, if I'm not mistaken, it says at minimum
At minimum,
quarterly, which means they can meet as much as
They could call a meeting.
with additional meetings upon call by the committee chairman,
Yeah.
upon petition of a simple majority of the committee.
It just means they have to meet at least once a quarter, but they can meet once a week if there's a need there, so. Thinking,
But it's
change that
only
to,
at the discretion of the membership.
When something's presented.
it'd be when there's a need, and something's presented. An application, I guess, for a change of facade or sign or what, any business that needs to come to.
Okay, nothing outside of the historical district lines would be affected by this. Is that correct? What we're talking about.
That's correct. That's
Nothing
the only,
outside.
And
that's
that's a lot.
the, the historic Mount
Okay, I
Lot.
got you.
That's the only jurisdiction that has the facade, has this ordinance come into play for that board to.
Has anybody asked, possibly, is there an option to expand the historical district?
It would be quite detailed, it would be quite a undertaking. to
It would be,
extend
wouldn't
this,
it? I thought so.
But it's something that can be done.
Yeah, okay.
And that was actually done, it's a 95-page application. What they've actually done, and it's very interesting. I need to send it to all of y'all. It is 95 pages, but there's a lot of interesting verbiage that they put in the history of the city whenever they were going downtown, because that's what the Texas Historical Commission did. They had to come in, you submit an application, and they come in and they evaluate and say, you can have this to here, to here. They actually say.
We had that come up several years ago, many years ago. And the participant that was doing the paperwork just kind of gave up, I think, because it looked like possibly it was impossible, you know, on their part to make it happen. So that's part of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough historical buildings going past those lines.
No, they can't match them.
Right. Anything else that y'all see that y'all would like to see changed or added to any of the ordinances that were in there? 88-1035 is the one that I was talking about. Now, it gives guidelines for the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I don't know that those plans would go in front of them before it went to I believe it's gonna go to the Preservation Committee first, which once it goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission, it's got the details, and then if denied a permit, the building owner may appeal to the Henderson City Council. Well, whenever I get down here to the Henderson City Council guidelines for them to go through, D again says if denied a permit, the building owner must appeal to the Henderson City Council. So we just need to change that D. That once it comes to council, they've already went through three. They've got the preservation committee, the zoning, and council. So I don't know that it needs to go to another entity at all. What is your thoughts,
I
Jeff?
think it does.
Okay, we'll just remove that. I'll send these to you to get them updated for us.
In that 88-414, back to section 5, subsection D, where it talks about the ex officio members. Does Russ County even have a tourism department anymore?
Oh, yeah, I saw that, I don't know.
Should we clean that up a little bit?
They don't exist, we should take them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else is on there?
In addition to the 7 members appointed by the city council, the city manager or his representative, the building official, the Main Street manager, and a representative from the Russ County Tourism Department shall sit on the committee as ex officio members. They shall not have voting powers, but shall assist the committee in its varied functions.
That's the only one that.
Yeah, that's the only one that would probably need cleaning up, but
Well, we're doing it, yeah, I agree.
I guess what I'm looking for in the end is a clean process to eliminate any potential of hearsay between building owners, the committee, and maybe getting Laura dragged into it or getting staff dragged into it. I want to eliminate any possibilities of miscommunications. And we've had a lot of that lately.
What would you say was the cause of that?
Well, the first thing was I had no real record other than minutes, but the minutes were so vague that I couldn't listen to either side and make my own determination. Then I realized the meetings weren't recorded, so I couldn't hear what was going on. And some of the committee members were participating on phones or iPads, and even with a privately provided recording, I couldn't understand. I couldn't follow anything. So
A lot of questions.
there were a lot of questions for me that were left unanswered. And then eventually it made it to council. You know, both sides made it to council. And here we are.
Or does it need to be in writing that the meetings will be recorded?
It
Maybe
is
it-
by state law,
I was
they're
gonna say
recording
that
it, it's
they are
open
open
meeting.
meetings,
That's part of
so
the
they
open
should,
It
they
is
should
done.
follow the same rules that we have to follow when we're meeting here.
And we've corrected that.
Yeah, that's already been fixed.
Okay.
And the other correction, which I've talked to some of you about, and you know, we've talked about as well, is just the organization, the staff side of what we do and how we communicate back to the applicants or anybody that's gonna be on the agenda and the board or committee members. This is, I mean, this workshop is about the preservation committee, so we're specifically talking about that, but obviously I'm talking about any of our boards. So we've talked about that internally on how we need to better provide our board members with information ahead of time and clarity back to applicants, what they need and why they need it, and just there's a communication and an education background that we've got to do a lot better job of from the staff perspective. I think moving forward, and that'll clarify, I think correct probably 75 or 80% of our problems, but we discussed that, and I think we're going to get better across the board. I know we will. We'll hold everybody accountable as we move forward there. I believe that'll correct a lot of the stuff. It's been really more of setting up a meeting and then here we go, instead of, it'd be like a council meeting, y'all coming in and let's throw a bunch of stuff in front of you for the first time, you try to make that decision. And that's kind of the way we've been treating some of these other boards and commissions, and we just gotta do a little bit of job of doing that internally, so staff can take care of that. I trust we'll make that correction easy enough. Had those two things happen, we haven't done that up front, we wouldn't be probably in this issue in the first place, had it been recorded, we would have had a better understanding of what truly happened, and instead of trying to decipher everybody telling their side of what happened, so ultimately those things will correct anything moving forward.
So do we have a list of who is seeking reappointment and who are?
Yes, that's coming up. Okay, that's coming up. Cheryl has that list of who, and let me tell you first, who is just to be reassigned. You know, their term limits are not up, and they would like to reevaluate themselves and come back on the board again. That would be Judy Sewell, Art Russo, and Evelyn Craig. They have all agreed to come back. That's 3. So we have 2 to fill. Is that correct, Cheryl?
Yes.
2 places to fill, actually. Vacant places.
We're gonna have 7 seats total.
Yeah.
We're reappointing 3, and we're doing this so they have staggered terms, correct? Like there's 4 1 year, 3 the next.
Yeah.
That way they all can serve.
2 and 1.
Do what?
2 years and 1 year.
2 and
But
1.
they all would technically
Yes.
serve 2-year terms in a full term.
Yes. Mhm.
So how many applications do you have, Cheryl?
We had. I believe there was 5 applications submitted. We actually had 6. That's 6.
Okay.
Yes. Applications to go through. Did I put those in y'all's packets? Did I add? I didn't put the
didn't see
applications in there.
them.
Let me make copies of these real quick.
Jay brought up a real good point about these applicants here. And this is for all boards, not just this board. He thinks and we think that we should be interviewing these folks to be on the committee. Go ahead and be sure that they're sincere, that they really like to be on the committee. Are they qualified? Do they have the time to serve on the committee? And the other committees. So,
Do you think we could develop some kind of vetting process and put it
well,
on paper?
Jay's kind of got a plan. Yeah. Off the cuff here, but
I think it's
not
really
really.
on something. No, I think, I mean, we can do a lot of different things, but my suggestion would be that we do, and you do it by titles, so it can continue on well past, people, or how we want to do it, but you can do like mayor pro tem and the staff liaison to that board or committee, interview that. It'd be once, and then, Cheryl and or I can join that as well, if you need to, and then, yeah, just meet with them and interview, do questions back and forth, and then let that group come back to council with a recommendation of appointments. I like to do something like that with all of our volunteers. So we really need people. It's a good idea.
So I ask, say you have one person that serves in P and Z and they wanted to be on the historical committee, could that create a conflict of interest?
To serve on both.
Yes, because sometimes,
It could. That's
I
how the
would
interview
think in this
process.
particular case, it would, because once it gets to preservation committee, it goes to payment.
well, I'm just making sure that we don't have any conflicts of interest.
Yeah, but the interview process is clear that you can't serve on the committee. But it just depends.
It's not necessarily a conflict. If somebody develop a conflict, they have to remove themselves from the discussion.
Yeah, so I think you could have more, you could have same person serve on both boards or commissions. If there's a conflict that pops up, there's not a conflict just because they serve on both.
Okay. And it's not like we have a total huge abundance of applicants wanting
No,
to
I'm
serve
not
on
trying
this
to
board.
discourage anybody that serves, but I just want to make sure
If we
that
had,
we don't put
we had
ourselves
a lot of
in a bad
folks that way,
situation.
it'd be a lot better. We did not. volunteerism is kind of falling back just a little bit. We really need to probably generate some more excitement for this, some more activity. I don't know how you can make it exciting, but it's,
We could come up with some good ideas. No, she's not in here, see,
you can say it, but.
she's very good. She does. I'm impressed with her.
But some variation of a quick interview committee, I think would be good and could be used for across the board. And I think ultimately with our committees, I like to see us change how we do the application. And have one application form, so if somebody wants to serve on a board or commission, and then with that form, they can, with that form, and they check the boxes of it, said committees that they might be in. They might be interested in one, maybe they'll check out all the boxes and one, wherever just plug in, because they just want to be a part. And then as we have openings, we take those and make it call and plug them in, so we can have maybe a reserve of potential candidates as things rise and all of that to that. Sounds good on paper.
Good idea.
So now, later on the agenda, you have the opportunity to reappoint three, I think, and then appoint two new. It was mentioned last meeting that it would make sense to appoint all at the same time, so that was tabled last time, so it is on the agenda here. So we can, whatever council's desire is, if you want to look at the applications here and workshop through them, and then y'all can make that decision tonight, or if you'd rather us do some type of interview process, then we can do that and bring this back in May. So we have options there too. However y'all want to lead us. Nothing, just a main.
A few minutes, Bob, for printing something.
Just printing that item number 6, it's on your regular agenda, that memo, it does have the names, some names listed and who would fill what terms in the actual memo, so you just want to print that off while we're talking about it. So we'll say it's good to see all y'all again. Yeah, I mean,
Have you noticed there's no flags? There's no
Right.
flags?
Lord.
No flags? Just don't be sneaky.
no sneeze guards. Yeah.
Just item 6.
Just sneeze.
Just about.
it's still be a total of 7 members. in this committee.
What time of day does the preservation meeting?
Typically at 5.
I just backtracking to one of my concerns from earlier, I get that a committee member might have something come up and they might need to participate by the different means. So should we think of a way to accommodate it similar to the Zoom, like we're doing here, or that way it's easier to maintain and keep our open meeting? Because I don't want to do something where you have to attend to be in the meeting. Because I want to be reasonable and think if something comes up, they can still participate.
Like, we're having the meetings over here, and then after COVID hit, we kind of split all up, and we're having our meetings in our own facilities, so we can do that.
That could work.
We could have it right here and use this one.
Buddy Gresham was the chairman for how many years? Ever since he started, okay, from the beginning. And of course, he had a day job. He, had to leave Tyler and come over here to make the meeting. He could get here by 5:30, and I think that's the point of action there for the meeting to be o'clock. Otherwise, they could have had it during the day or something.
They might possibly
They would have an option to do the meeting probably whenever their board had a consensus.
I'm just trying to think of all the what if
Some else to
scenarios.
consider, yeah.
I mean, there's way more than that, but
Well,
we can't cover them all.
at least you're covering as much as you can.
I just know that's a reasonably easy fit.
That would be.
So again, if you go to the ordinance of Michael Kell, reference in 88-414, section 5, that gives you a list of who they would like to see from different organizations on this board.
So is that on?
That's on page 2.
On the PDF, it's 21. I know where she was going. Is there, I mean, it says all these things, but is there a requirement for city or county residency currently for that?
I don't remember reading that question.
I don't remember seeing that in here either. But again, that number 1 was Russ County Historical Commission. So Russ County Tourism is what we're removing.
Well, I'll just make sure those 7 pointers, that all 7 of those organizations still exist in some way, shape, or form. They might have a different name or have kind of modified over the years. Because I know 5 is the Henderson Area Chamber of Commerce in South Russ County. I know it's being nitpicky, but
I thought it was Russ County Chamber of Commerce.
it's Henderson Area Chamber of Commerce.
Who is it? Okay.
I'm about to defer to Steve because I knew he would know.
Yeah, it's Henderson area.
Does the sign out front still say Rusk County?
Who does?
But their annual director that they put out listed Henderson area.
It was a big push when it happened. We are the Henderson Area Chamber of Commerce, because I think that meant a little more towards it wasn't just exclusive to Russ County. You know, if you had members that wanted to join that were Longview and Tyler,
Bonnie Getty on her application put Henderson Area Chamber of Commerce as her employer.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Mhm. We'll change that. We've not changed this. This is time to go through it right now.
That's one of the difference.
Right. See, I don't believe we have anyone on there from the Russ County Historical Commission.
I know Judy Sewell.
Oh, which is Judy. Okay,
Yeah, she says so.
okay.
So is tourism still listed on there, Russ County tourism?
We'll
As an
remove it as a
exhibition
section
member,
D.
yeah.
It is.
Okay, yeah.
no, the 7 on the list is the Russ County Historical Commission, the Russ County Heritage Association, the Henderson Downtown Association. Is that
Is there one of those?
We don't have.
That's not.
Doesn't exist
Right,
That
anymore.
doesn't exist. The Russ County Board of Realtors, since that might exist in some way, shape, or form, I'd have to ask. You know, the Chamber of Commerce, just rewording it, downtown property owners is not a,
No,
it's not
it's not you.
a union, it's just downtown business owners,
Property.
downtown property owners, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Just consider maybe you preferably want somebody who either lives or has
Yes.
Has-
Should.
some stake in downtown.
And we do have a realtor that has applied. Is that Joe?
Two
Joe
realtors.
could- Oh, do you?
Kelly and Joe. And
Oh,
Brandon,
that's right.
and Brandon's involved in
Oh, that's
real
right.
estate.
Okay.
I got nothing else.
You sure?
I could probably think of something, but I'm,
Well, I just, I'm thrash this out. Let's get this. You got anything else? Got any questions? Anybody else? Steve?
So before we fill any of this, we're going to interview the 6 applicants.
That's completely up to,
That's up to,
up to y'all. If y'all wanna fill them tonight, that's fine. If you'd rather us set that up, or we do an interview of,
I mean, they're all qualified in my opinion, so I'd really like to see the test run on this process.
when we get down to the official business down here on number 6, we'll have a chance to vote on it. Go down to the council.
So you're not wanting to interview these 6 people?
Well, I didn't say that. I
But
said,
I wish that they would.
that's when we make that decision.
I wish that they would. I wish they'd at least try this vetting process in all 6. I mean, they're all qualified. There's no real doubt there.
5 out of 6 anyway.
Well, they can,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really think that's.
I'd like to see the process once and see how it goes. But I'll bring that up again in 30 minutes or so.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to clean it up.
Yeah,
In the end, I just want
it sounds like it needs
to
to.
eliminate any confusion and any hearsay from anybody involved.
Okay. Not a dead air here. If we're done with this subject here, we have the option of going ahead and closing the workshop and opening up the council meeting. Do we need a recess or anything?
Probably need to recess, well, I'll be
If you want to
recessed
recess,
till 6.
take one, but, yeah, we can't start at 6 probably.
That's what I was thinking. We could recess, we could restart at 6.
Correct.
You need a motion to recess?
Yeah, I need a motion to
I
recess.
move we recess until 6 p.m.
We're gonna recess at 5:43. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Okay, recess stands approved. Thank you. We'll now reconvene after our recess and start the normal council meeting. At this time, we get better, step up and give the notice about the non-agenda items.
Welcome to the City of Henderson April Council meeting. In this meeting, there are ample opportunities for citizen participation. For citizen participation or comments on non-agenda items, please note now is the time to do so. You will have to utilize the webinar chat feature located to the right with us if you're on Zoom, if you'd like to speak. If joining by audio telephone, to raise your hand during this time to ask a question, please press *9. To unmute yourself, please press *6. You will be asked to identify yourself by name and address, as well as what you would like to speak on. To ensure clear communication, please be sure to make sure any background noise is turned off at this time.
We'll give the participants 30 or 40 seconds to dial in if they need to. Okay, with none dialing in or calling in, we will go to the citizens' comments on agenda items.
For citizen participation or comments on agenda items, please note now is the time to do so. You will have to utilize the webinar chat feature located at the right if you are joining us with Zoom to let us know that you would like to speak. If joining by audio telephone, to raise your hand during this time to ask a question, please press *9. To unmute yourself, please press *6. You will be asked to identify yourself by name and address, as well as what you'd like to speak on today. To ensure clear communication, please make sure any background noise is turned off at this time.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to presentations and announcements. I think we have Head Co-Director John Clary with an update on the East Texas Regional Business Park. John, you're up. Uh-oh. Is that John? It's John. Oh, my God.
Right, watch out, John. All right, let's move on. All right, I literally drove in an hour ago from Galveston. We can sit down there for a few days, so thought I'd start out with a little funny. All right, next slide, please. So I do want to give y'all an update. We've come a long way in the last couple of years. And when I first came here about 3 years ago, one of the things we had a little bit of land, not great land over there on Frisco Street.
that we subdivided into a couple of 10 and 15 acre parcels. We spent a lot of money over there to make that property look better and more presentable. But that's all the land we had. And for us to be really in the game on economic development, we need to have more land. That's just the way it is in the economic development world today. And so we looked at parcels really all over town. We looked out south, out in the West Loop. We looked out east of town, and we ended up zoning into kind of this area that's outside the loop and a little bit inside the loop, west of 259, and all the parcels that are shaded in some color. And we talked to all those property owners. Go ahead, Jay, to the next slide. So we zoned in on the Alford parcel and the Richardson parcel, and most recently the Margaret Rose parcel, which is plus or minus 9 acres there. The Jim Allen Estate and that other 175 acres of potential future development. But we're far down the line now with the other parcels that we've already acquired. Go to the next one. We looked at a lot of stuff. This is our current site plan that we're working with, which is the Alford parcel and another parcel that we bought for the Richardson family. And most recently, a 9-acre parcel that actually didn't get into the shading on this picture. Altogether, they add up to about 303 acres. And so it's a good start for us. Go ahead, Jay. We studied a lot of stuff. One of the things is this is a soils map, and we wanted to see what kind of soils are out there. So this is just one of the things we studied. By the way, there's a green space that you're going to see in here throughout the deal. The Alford family, there's a spring-fed pond, and that's one request that they really had of us is that we try to save the green belt, and we intend to do that. So you'll see that throughout. Go ahead, Jeff. Topography, we have quite a bit of topography on the site, so we're going to have to do quite a bit of grading. And so, of course, that kind of goes throughout Henderson, right? That's not just out there. But that's one of the other things that we've had to take into consideration. All right. Every one of these boxes is some kind of oil installation, not including pipelines. These are active oil wells, plugged oil wells. Some of them are pipelines. But you can't buy a large parcel of land in this area without having oil on it. So we've had to work around all of that stuff. And so you'll see that we think we've been pretty successful, but that's just part of life in our area. Go ahead. All right, this is the latest drawing that we've done. There is about, I think it's 100, I've got it on the next slide, 1,200,000 and something square feet of buildings shown on this drawing. So you can see that there's quite a few buildings on there. The largest one is 200,000 square feet. There's another one that's just under 200,000 square feet. And we've got a spine road that's going through the middle of the parcel that is our primary road that is going to be serving all of those buildings. And you can see on this picture really well the spring-fed lake and the greenbelt. There's a half-mile trail around the greenbelt, the lake, the spring-fed lake that we are showing in our plan. And then about a mile long of greenbelt trails. That greenbelt leads back to the north to Browns Lake. So that'll kind of orient you some of you on that. So we have all of the land, what you're seeing here is all on this end of the, on this end of the picture over here is the loop, Route 571, and you got 323.
I can't feel it.
Let's see. It does not show up on there. So you got 323 coming out here, 2276 goes out that way. And so this is, there's a tall tower out there. We didn't buy the 10 acres that the tower has. And that's an addition. That's what that square is right there that we did not buy. And the land just below that at the hard corner, is our land, but it's low and we really can't build there. We talked about maybe making a water feature out of that and putting a sign in the middle of it or something, but I don't think we're gonna go there. So, so anyway, this is our latest master plan for the site. I've done this enough to know that the first business that comes in here is gonna wanna do something different than we have shown on here. But we have to start somewhere and get an idea of what we wanna build, and so this is where we're at. Go ahead, Jay. So there's 1,210,000 square feet of space depicted on that last map. It's divided over 22 different buildings. Includes about 10 acres for a training center, which we have not talked to the school about, the ISD, but we would like to put a CTE training center out there in conjunction also with Kilgore College and maybe some other college. And so we have about 10 acres allocated for that. There's included some space for an apartment complex. We'd like to see some residential housing out there on the site. And that's over on the loop side, on the loop frontage. I already mentioned this, one of the things the Alfords requested when we bought their portion was to retain a green belt, and our intent is to do that. And I already mentioned the hiking trail and the 1 mile trail. Go ahead, Jay. These are just a few of the signs that we're showing. Our board hadn't even looked at these yet. These are just hot off the press. But my idea is I want a wow sign. We think that East Texas Regional Business Park is kind of a wow name. And we want a sign at each end of our spine road that depicts that. And so we're going to look at some ideas. In the bottom right of your picture is an 18-wheeler. So you can see that these are large signs, because these would be much larger than an 18-wheeler high. Okay, so these aren't just something small that you know have. And now I'm not sure we're going to be able to pay for all that, but we haven't figured all that out yet. But we have to start somewhere, and I want to start big. And so go to the next one. We also have talked over the last couple of years about doing a speculative industrial building. We were going to do it over on Frisco Street. We've decided not to. We've decided to try to put it out here. The arrow is pointing to the site that we picked out that we want to put that on. That's on 323, just back from the loop and back from what's going to be probably a detention area. By having it front directly onto 323, we can build it concurrently with the construction in the rest of the park. So if we had built it in the interior somewhere, we wouldn't be able to build it until later. But we're also going to look for a partner on it. So go ahead. These are a couple pictures of what we had drawn up for the design of that building. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is the back. So the back would theoretically have 2 truck docks and a truck area, truck parking apron. And then the front of the building would have had parking for cars and employees and visitors. So the next steps in our plans over the next 30 or 45 days is to complete our master planning, which is, there's a lady named Sarah Aiken, who's doing part of our master planning, and Stokes Engineering is the other partner. And so they're working together. Sarah is a landscaping designer, landscape engineer, landscape architect. And so she's doing all that type of pre-stuff and the design stuff. We've got to choose signage. I just showed you a whole bunch of design options and logo options. We need to work on that. Working with Conterra. Y'all are familiar with Conterra, and we're working with them. We're going to have a meeting next week. They're going to give us some numbers as to what they think it would cost to serve our park. And so we're hoping that we get a good number, but I don't know what it is yet. The final estimates, we got finalized cost estimates and develop a bidding package over the summer. And we might end up having to divide this out into 2 phases. So we're just not sure yet what the numbers are all gonna come in at. I have an idea, but, I don't wanna go down there until I get better information, but, we're hoping to start phase one of our construction in October, maybe September. And regarding the spec building, I already mentioned it can be constructed concurrently with the park, but we do want to look for a partner for it. So I think that's the last one. Yeah. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but I wanted to give y'all a rundown of what we've been doing and where we're at and what our ideas are.
I'll leave it alone for a couple of weeks.
So we're moving as fast as we can. It takes a long time to figure all this stuff out. And, you know, I'll tell you, I think that the construction phase is going to be $5 million or so. So it's a pretty hefty number. And you know, that doesn't include phase two of the walking trails. It includes part, you know, phase one, but not phase two. So any questions?
John? A wonderful plan. Let's give John a big hand.
All right, thanks.
So about time. What's up? I didn't mean that. Yeah.
Like a hat, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Like a hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let's move right along. Consent agenda is next on the agenda. Consent agenda items may be considered to be routine in nature and may be acted upon in one motion. Any item requiring additional discussion may be withdrawn from the consent agenda by the mayor, the council member, or city manager and acted upon separately. Okay, sure y'all have read those items and studied them. Need a motion and a second.
Motion be approved.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Likewise, same motion. Approved. Thank you very much. Let's move now to council business, regular session. Item number 5, consideration and possible action upon the history and future plan for the National Registered Historic District facade/sign guidelines and the Landmark Preservation Committee. Okay, we just completed a workshop process and came up with some plans here. Mr. Searcy, do you want to bring anything up here?
Well, I think it's for the next item, but
Yeah.
we talked about some changes and some additions and corrections because a few things have changed since 1988. So, is it an action item or is it just really?
It's an action item.
Okay. I move that we adjust those ordinances as needed and I'm guessing we'll have to do we need to bring them back for a reading?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
we'll still have to go through the 2 readings.
Yeah.
Well, I make a
But that's-
motion that we make the adjustments as discussed in the workshop.
Motion has been made. We're here a second.
Second.
Mr. Pace, second. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Item number 5 stands approved. Item number 6 on the agenda is consideration and possible action upon a recommendation of an appointment of 2 new members and the reappointment of the other members for the Henderson Landmark Preservation Committee.
I think we ought to table this until we can interview the 6 applicants and come up with a full slate of committee members.
Okay.
Got a motion?
Yeah, that's the motion. I have a second.
Is this also the reappointment?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just
Table it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
do the whole thing. We're gonna do them all at one time anyway. So. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, like, sign, opposed. Okay. Item number 6 is tabled until next month. Item number 7 is consideration and possible action upon an agreement with the Henderson Boys Baseball Association for use of the athletic field at the sports complex.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Number 7, I'll take number 7 and 8 kind of together here. So, because the number 8 is the softball complex. We've been working towards that agreement with the baseball and the softball and Russ County Rec group. And we are ready to move here on an agreement. However, one caveat is we want to make sure that the rec center property is properly deeded to the city. And so the sports complex board, which consists of all baseball and softball, wants to make sure that we hold off and do the agreements all 3 together at the same time after that deed has happened. So I'll get with Joe and we'll work through that through this next month. And then hopefully in May's agenda, we can have that item first and have that clear. And then we can approve all 3, the baseball, softball, and the rec center agreements moving forward. So with that being said, I'd ask that we, actually just table number 7 and number 8.
Okay.
To next month, so we can get that deed prepared, whether it's a gift deed or whether we can talk to that show and see what that needs to be, real estate piece.
I move that we table item 7 and table item 8.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like, sign, opposed. 7 and 8 are tabled. We'll now move to number 9. Consideration and possible action on an ordinance creating the City of Henderson Municipal Court of Record.
Okay, again, on this, we talked about this almost a year ago, and during the COVID court closed, so we did not move forward with any. We had drafted an ordinance, but we didn't move forward with any change there. There was no need to. Obviously, a lot of things were postponed for the last year, but needed to go back and readdress this. Put together the memo for your review. Trying to answer any questions that you may have or may have come about with this. But the court of record obviously would allow us to be able to do a lot of different things here with our court compared to moving things to district court. On appeals, I think we need to move from the community development side, code enforcement side. We want to do some different things here locally, clean up some of our abandoned properties, our junk vehicles, things like that. So we've not been very, in the past, the city's not been very thorough or aggressive on some of those code issues. And I feel like that this will help us take the next step there locally to do that, among other things. So any questions on the memo?
How many of y'all get weekly complaints about property that needs to be cleaned up?
Not weekly.
I'll get it.
No, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I hear a lot.
I would agree, there's a lot to be cleaned up, but nobody ever calls me. Don't give them a.
I'll send them your way.
We'll share the,
We'll share the love.
Well, I know with all the ice and snow, there was a lot of
That's true. That's true.
structures that weren't safe to start with that have started collapsing even more, so it's making it unsafe for the neighborhoods.
Any more discussion? Not, do I hear a motion? Go for it.
Make a a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Okay. Item number 9 stands approved. Item number 10, we're gonna open up a public hearing to review and readopt a juvenile curfew ordinance. Okay.
It's not, we're not gonna be doing anything to the ordinance, it's just every 3 years you're supposed to readopt this. So we just made it an annual, so we don't lose sight of it, because if you don't have it adopted within those 3 years, it falls off the books and you don't go back. So we just thought it'd be a good practice just to have it before we see it annually and review it and update it, and the chief of police and I both looked at it, and there's not any changes that we know that we need to make to it.
Okay.
So we adopted it last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move that. Item number 11, and we'll vote to close the public hearing. I hear a motion to close the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Okay, thank you. Item number 12 is consideration and possible action upon the renewal of a curfew ordinance, 2021-0401. Okay. Renewal of a curfew. That means much the same, Cheryl.
Yes.
This is
We're
the
just
actual
renewing.
curfew.
Yeah, this is the
A
actual.
normal thing that we normally do.
Melissa moved.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 12 stands approved. Item number 11, consideration and possible action upon authorization for the city of Henderson to issue request for proposals, that's an RFP, for administrative services and request for qualifications, those are RFQs, for professional services for the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Mayor, thank you. Council, again, we talked with, in the joint meeting with Russ County Commissioners Court. And in that meeting, it was talked about being able just to go ahead and get ready for an RFQ or RFP if we need it to, and if we needed help, and guidance through this, process of the American Rescue Plan Act and the funds that are coming our way. This would just allow the authorization for us to go out to that RFQ, RFP if needed, and not have to wait for another council meeting, to get that authorization. So this is not too for sure that we are going out. That will come. That would, we'll be able to communicate that back to you. But this would just give the authorization for us to move forward and talk with a consultant or provider, and it's not that RFQ. Just the language that was talked about, Russ County's done the same thing already in their meeting, I believe, last week. So no specific cost or anything here that we're worried about currently.
We got a motion, second. Motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 13 stands approved. Item number 14 is to consideration and possible action upon a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission on a text amendment to the zoning ordinance. Mr. Hughes?
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening. On April 6th, the Planning and Zoning Commission met to consider an application submitted by Johnny Walker to add the wording self-storage warehouses to the permitted uses list in the industrial 2 zone. At this time, the only place that the self-storage warehouses are permitted is in I-1 and by special exception in C2 general commercial. And we felt like, our staff felt like that it'd be a good use of some of the smaller lots that are available in the I-2 zone. If we could put some of these self-storage warehouses in there, The lot in particular that Mr. Walker is purchasing is the old car wash next to Winley Foods. It's been sitting there vacant for years and years and years. And our hope is that if we get some new construction over there, that it'll revitalize that part of Highway 64, and we'll see some growth out there. And some of the other property owners may see something brand new go up and spruce up their properties as well. So our staff is going along with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to add self-storage warehouses to the list of permitted uses in the I-2 zoned area.
Billy, how many I-2 zoning areas are there in the city?
Well, you've got that big, it runs down Highway 64, then goes into the industrial park. And then right across the street is Industrial 1, and then down Frisco is Industrial 1. But that's the industrial park is the main I-2.
It's gonna be this red zone.
That big red zone.
That's pretty much the only one we've got.
Yeah,
Everything in red is it.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's, like I said, there's a few lots that don't meet the zoning criteria down in that area as well. And, you know, we don't know what they'll be used for, but this will at least get one lot bought and developed.
So you think it's better to approve an amendment versus giving him just a special use for that one property where he can build?
I don't know if we can do that for just that one property in that zone.
It wouldn't be a variance.
It's
Not a variance.
It's not a variance to the ordinances. I guess you could do it that way, be a variance to the special use, special exception uses.
And he owns the property 2 doors down, right?
Yes. Yeah, he owns that property where the propane place used to be.
I mean, there's a high demand for this. And I know because I needed a large warehouse style building, and I finally found one after months of searching. So I know it would be.
And this will be heated and cooled space as well, climate control storage.
It's beneficial. And that car wash has sat there vacant for years. I love the idea. I don't want to pass something that's going to be detrimental to something deeper in all of that red. Some business that would be a detriment to have self-storage units next to it. You know what?
Our other option, I guess, and I hadn't thought about it, but you could rezone that one strip that runs along Highway 64 to Industrial Boulevard, West Fraser. You could rezone that to I-1, and it would be a permitted use in I-1. That's an option. We'll have to take it back to planning and zoning.
What would that exclude?
Exclude? Those are all small lots, as you can see by the parcel map.
I mean, what kind of uses would that exclude between I-2 and I-1?
The major manufacturing.
Most of those lots
Yes.
probably wouldn't be
No,
sufficient for
No,
major.
they're not large enough.
Not unless they were all bought up and replanted.
501, yeah. Replanted.
What kind of business would be deterred with that? Any idea? Any idea?
No,
And these are gonna be just storage buildings, not,
it's gonna be one big 80 by 80 warehouse, with overhead doors that you go in and bring your stuff in and you store in individual units.
gotcha.
Is what he's proposed.
I didn't know if there would be anything like a workshop in there, or
No,
something that somebody,
no, I don't think so. That would be a flex space idea that he's going to do
you just wanted to do bigger
storage warehouses, right?
So all the access points would be inside, not
Yes,
out.
correct. And there is, that they, right across the street, that you have that older Russ County self-storage across the street from it now, and it's for sale. you know, Mr. Walker's actually looking at that property as well.
Is that zone the same?
It's
No,
I-1.
it's I-1, this is I-2.
It's that little, I think it's that little track, it's one of those that the mouse is
This
on.
is, yeah, yes, right in there.
I'm for it personally. Cause I'd like to see that car wash, I'd like to see that property be repurposed for good use. And Mr. Walker's got the ability to do that. I move that we approve it.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Item number, thank you, 14 stands. That's good. That's good. Thank you very much. Departmental reports, item number 15. Got a long list here. I'm sure you have the communication there in your packet. You read those. Do you have any questions for any of our supervisors, managers?
Look, they're all here in person, eagerly awaiting.
Your question, that's right.
Yeah,
Now's the time to ask your question.
eagerly awaiting.
Now's the time.
Didn't we have something for Davis last month?
Nope.
Oh, we did. I thought we were too. Davis? How's the street sweeper working?
Yes, it is.
How's it going?
Very well, other than it was in a little food review the other
Oh,
Hey, I saw it working in your district 2 days ago.
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I must have been at work.
No, I saw it.
Nice.
And there was actually stuff disappearing off the curbs. I was pretty amazed.
Yes, it's working extremely well. Very good machine.
And what kind of damages the fender bender do to?
Bumper, nothing machine. We patched it up and put it back on the road, so we got all the insurance stuff.
We got to check.
It's just getting a new cover. It's all good.
It doesn't
So,
stop.
yeah, we're almost
It's
supposed to
not
get all-
stopping us.
We're supposed to get all the parts together and ready to go, so we can go in there, he can stop them on, and we can get it right back. Yeah, we're trying to organize all that. So we got everything out there, or as little as possible.
Do you have a designated operator for that machine?
Yes, sir.
So everybody won't be using it?
No, absolutely. We have one and a couple of that know how to run it very well and step in and do the.
That's a good plan. Good plan. Okay.
Kirk,
Yes, sir.
I was in a restaurant Wednesday and ran into Johnny Walker. And he was commenting about the condition at the traffic star.
That's okay.
Has anybody been in contact with you or your group regarding kind of cleaning up and?
We did clean up the beds and it is a lot better now. We put this past week. I talked to the guys yesterday, I'm scheduling the street sweeper to come in and cut my drive early on Sunday and just blow the paved part off into the road and have the sweeper pick it up. There's a lot of debris on the pavers and concrete down there, but the beds are freshened up for now. So we'll get the rest of it Sunday.
Thank you.
If I can borrow things to the street.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, the weather was kind of rough to some of the parks. And
Sorry?
the weather was kind of rough to some of the parks over the last couple of weeks.
Right.
If you haven't already, you might look at Fair Park in particular and just check the trails, give it a little attention if you hadn't already.
Gotcha.
Are y'all doing that work, in front of the, on the highway in front of the tractor tractor place by Hush Puppies, or is that,
That's Tex dot.
Textiles doing that?
Did the rocks.
The rocks right there?
And they paved and put the rocks in. That's a Tex dot project.
It's a GCAA grant that Keep Henderson Beautiful won. This is the second one they've won, and it's $160,000 that has to be, it's from the state. And the money's gotta be spent on TxDOT right away. So they won the money, it's TxDOT hiring the contractors to do the work, and then Keep Henderson Beautiful involved with the design on the landscape.
Gotcha. Tell, keep Henderson beautiful, looks a whole lot nicer than
Thank
what
you.
it is.
If you see any of them, pass that on to them. We'd appreciate it. They would appreciate it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Got a lot of questions about what was going on there. Well, there were rocks paved in the sidewalk, but.
It looked a little weird, but
Yeah, that's not my kind of sidewalk.
All terrain, all terrain tennis shoes on that.
I know what that place looks like when it rains, and this is gonna be a vast improvement.
okay, so I see a fire truck up there.
Well, I can't.
It's been hijacked again. I don't know who's in control.
Well, Sonny had to leave. He had to go,
Rusty will have to say something about that.
yeah. I said it's only on one side. I couldn't do them both.
Oh.
Rusty, is that your number?
No, this is not Rusty's truck.
Oh, I'm sorry. My goodness.
No, Sonny's truck just came out of the sign shop. And now it's gonna get lights on it, but he wanted to have it here to show us tonight.
I actually saw it sitting over there, on the way to the house today. It's nice looking.
Well, it is very attractive.
Yeah, he,
Yeah, son hurt his knee yesterday, we had to deal with that, so.
So what?
He had a son that hurt his knee yesterday, so.
he snuck a good one in on me, because for the little Henderson deal, you know, they had a regular H going in there, but they took it out and did the school one
I
just
see
like
it.
that. I heard there were some extensive negotiations between them and Chad over using that.
Chad had a copyright.
I don't know if I don't know what those were, something about washing fleet or something.
It'll last for about 30 years, so it's gonna be a good truck.
What make is that truck?
You need one of these?
We won't get into that. I can't advertise. Okay, any more questions? We have a very lively question here about department heads.
You haven't seen them in a year.
I know. What can I say? Randy, you don't have anything for us?
I do.
The water claim? Billy's got something.
I got it.
Go ahead, Billy.
We had our cleanup day Saturday, and it's, to me, I think one of the most successful cleanup days we've ever had.
It was huge.
It's huge. I mean, we had over 176 vehicles that were counting, a lot of the trailers on behind them. 312 tires was the count we had that were brought in. Electronics, we expected, you know, just maybe a pickup bed of electronics, was probably a 16-foot trailer load, heaped up electronic items that were brought in for recycle. We had 14 roll-off dumpsters that were in and out. 39.5 tons of debris removed from the city. And that does not count the electronics or the brush and tree limbs that were brought in for the brush pile. So it's very, very successful, and I have questions, when are we gonna do it again? So, come think about it.
He shook his head. That was a good report. Okay.
I'll report that the utilities and public services know how to eat crawfish.
Steve
And
and
a
I,
lot of other things.
Steve and I were nice, you know, we saved them some extra.
You did. Yeah, you did.
We saved them some extra.
There wasn't any of that. It was all-
There was no extras.
But the winner,
All
one of the winners is in here. There she sits right there. The animal control.
Now, let's talk about this for a second.
They ain't more than any of those big
Y'all
ones.
know catfish and mad, y'all know we got some big boys.
We got some
small ladies sit right next to them and went crawdad for crawdad with them and mountains, you couldn't tell the difference between the two.
Hold on.
Very impressive.
That's accurate because who I'm married to, her and Carissa could sit side by side and not share a crawfish plate with us.
There you go.
Brian and I would be out of luck.
She had a whole table full.
You were very successful, wasn't
They
it?
give them big boys a run for the money.
Okay.
Yeah, Randy, hats off for sending the guys to help the plumbers at my place. After 2 months, I'm finally getting my plumbing fixed.
Randy Boyd, thank you for helping me out on my issue today. I know somebody that's grateful.
All right.
You okay?
Yeah.
Bless you. Now we'll move to boards and commissions. Like we have in your packet, I guess you've got the minutes for Board of Adjustments minutes on April 6th, Planning and Zoning minutes, April 6th, Cemetery Board, none. There's no meeting scheduled at this time. Main Street meetings, next meeting April 27th. Preservation minutes, no applications for the committee to meet since March 1st. That's, yeah. Okay. All right. It is 6:46 p.m. We will now move into executive session. Executive session to consult with city attorney discussing litigations, real property located on West Fort Hall, West Main, Westco, 113 East Main, and the Henderson Sports Complex. In accordance with Vernon, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Section 07109, 72, excuse me, and 073. You got the time. Okay, the time is 7:52. We'll come out of executive session over into regular session again. And take no action as a result of the closed session. So this time, item number 18, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. We stand adjourned at 7:53 and a half. Started by 7:54.